lot of times filmmakers will ask me, what are acquisition executives looking for with their films? And whether it's a finished film, whether it's a screenplay, there are some similar criteria to both.
You really have to kind of start with a story that's well written and your understanding of the movie you want to make. And if you do that right, you're going to be able to convince somebody else that it's an endeavor worth taking on a greater risk and reward scenario.
If you have what you think is a neat idea for a film, but you can't quickly capture the essence of who you're making this film for, who's going to go, why are they going to go, what's so interesting about your story that's going to set it apart from the hundreds, if not thousands, of other films competing for people's attention.
It starts with, a really cool idea and a really passionate filmmaker. In the case of Open Water, it's a great idea, but what makes the film work on so many levels is it is a really smart screenplay, and the actors do a great job, and Chris and Laura have done an extraordinary job making this film.
Sometimes you can get all wrapped up in all the technical and mechanical aspects and forget the sort of the core of what filmmaking is about, which is, as any art form, it's about expressing yourself and exploring and having fun and learning also how to tell a story and understanding what this medium is.
No one can ever really predict what's going to hit and what's not. You need to make a film that's going to entertain, engage, and if you engage, maybe even get a certain kind of message out there that you want. What do I want to see next? If you find that you're at the expense of your own ideas, you're trying so desperately hard to please somebody else, and the odds are there's no way of predicting that anyway, then you could end up with a film that doesn't please anybody, including yourself.
When you look down the indie films that have worked, there's always been something different about them. Blair Witch, had a completely different style. Now, people were divided about loving it and hating it, but everybody had to go see it for that feeling.
Films don't have to be a big budget to be a high concept. Usually when people think of high concept, they think of meteorite heading towards Earth. All of a sudden you're talking about, a budget of over $100 million. It doesn't have to be that way, and there have been a series of very, very innovative filmmakers who embrace the parameters of a low budget. Blair Witch Project, high concept, low budget. Pi, another great example, high concept, low budget.
And as a filmmaker, you have to be mindful of the fact that downstream, you've got to show this film, you've got to market this film. And I think when you're making a film, you have to think, how am I going to get somebody else to understand what my vision is, and how are they going to be able to communicate that vision to the public?
No matter how many times you're told no, if you believe in yourself and you believe in your story, you have to keep plugging away. There's so many overnight success stories that are really 15-year overnight success stories, so you can't get discouraged easily. You have to have a very thick skin.
We want a film that's smart. We want a film that is passionate, from the filmmaker. But on top of that, the one thing the filmmaker should always be aware of is, how does your film stand out in the marketplace? There's something has to be about it that is electrifying, or when somebody says in one sentence what it's about, somebody says, I got to see that movie. Or the reviews are phenomenal that are just saying, this is a film unlike anything you've seen and you need to see it. You can't, divorce that from the fact that the film has to, really, really have a vision. There has to be something about it that just works on a fundamental level, and really, really having just a smart, script and smart execution as a director and filmmaker.
If you keep at it and you keep learning from your mistakes, maybe someday it'll come together for you, and we were lucky enough that it came together for us on this picture.
Yes, this is a handmade, homemade, family-made picture. This was done with cameras that are not much more sophisticated or much more expensive than consumer cameras. It was done, with ingenuity. It was done by challenging ourselves, pushing ourselves, working really damn hard, and working together and without a crew in a way that was completely different than the traditional ways that films are made. And I think there's something inspiring about that. We're just going to have to wing this whole thing.
Know who your audience is, and if you persevere and you can take a good story and tell it well, you have a great chance of success.
If you give yourself the opportunity to, find the film, in amongst all the footage that you shot, and let that film kind of come to life. It's not unlike, when Stephen King in his book On Writing talks about, discovering his books are kind of like fossils. He kind of, starts writing as he's brushing away the dirt, and all of a sudden it's revealed what's beneath. And I think sometimes independent films are kind of made the same way.